Now that I finished season 3 of Bridgerton, I'm finding it hard to reconcile with the negative opinions of the show, because as much as there were elements that I did miss, there were so many more that I just loved. This is an ensemble show, and it wasn't just Penelope and Colin's love story. And I do understand why people were upset that there weren't more Colin and Penelope, because I did feel like they were lacking scenes together, and someone did the maths and found out that they actually spent a lot less screen time together than Daphne and Simon and Kate and Anthony. But I do understand why that was the case. Because we had the previous 2 seasons to see Colin and Penelope's friendship and their love grow for each other. We knew they loved each other. We knew they cared for each other. What we didn't know was who they were. We had these 2 people who loved each other desperately. There was never any doubt of that. Unlike season 1 and 2, where there was quite a lot of doubt as to whether the couples actually liked each other. So I do think they needed to have way more scenes together to show that affection grow. This wasn't just Colin and Penelope's love story. It was Penelope and Eloise's. It was Penelope and her families, the Featheringtons as a whole. It was Colin and himself. It was Penelope and herself. And I think one of the most beautiful elements about this season was that the follow-through love story with Colin and Penelope was reflected in all of the side stories. Colin and Penelope loved each other, but they were lost, and they were trying to find themselves in a world that didn't want to seem to let them fit in. And we can see nearly every side character trying to find their place in a world that has suddenly shaken them. Violet is suddenly feeling attraction towards a man for the first time since her husband's passing, and she doesn't know what that means for her or if she genuinely wants it. Francesca is desperately trying to find someone who matches her because she's never felt she fit in with her family or society, and she finally wants to find a place where she does. Eloise received some of the most shocking news at the end of season 2 and is trying to navigate her way through that and trying to navigate the loss of her best friend. The Mondriches have been suddenly thrust into a position of power within a society that has never really accepted them before and now expects them to give up everything they have worked for, and they don't know where that leaves them. They don't know what that makes them as people. The Featheringtons, spurned on by Penelope, are all trying to figure out who they are and what they mean to each other. Even Benedict is discovering elements about himself that he wasn't tempted to explore before. Everyone is trying to figure out who they are and what their place in the world suddenly means. And at the center of all of that is Colin and Penelope. And yeah, I would have liked more scenes of Colin and Penelope together, but I wouldn't have sacrificed anything else for it. Because all of these stories that are being told are important to someone. They're stories about being heard, about finding yourself and owning who you are as a person and doing it proudly. And I genuinely think that people looking back will say that this was one of the most brilliant and coherent seasons of Bridgerton.